Hi.
Welcome to those who are joining. We're just going to give a few moments for people to begin to log on. The logging on process takes a little time because we have the login where you have to write in all that information about yourself first. So we're going to give it 1 minute for people to join us. And then we'll begin at about 6:03. If you are blacked out, which many of you are, you're certainly welcome to do that, but we always love to see your faces, particularly at the beginning, so that we can say hello to you and so that our speakers know who they're talking to. Thank you, Jerry.
I was just going to say, my best friend on this call, unblock yourself.
Thank you,
I have a
Jerry.
couple of friends on the call. Let's see who else.
And for anybody else, you know, even if you just want to show your face for just a moment so that we can say hello, that's a lovely thing. Bonnie and Ed, so good to see you. Terry, wonderful to see you. Hi, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. Oh, love to see you here. And hello. Michael, I love that bookshelf behind you.
Yeah.
Gorgeous bookshelf. And Marla, welcome.
Hey,
Rick,
Marla.
welcome. So wonderful to have you all here. Great. We're going to spend one more moment allowing people to log on, and then we will begin. Hi, Maida.
No one said it. She hasn't said hello.
Always such a blessing.
Hello, everybody.
Are you on there?
Okay. I'm going to do 20 more seconds, and then Cindy, you are up. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
This is my side.
Well, what is that?
Well, I don't know why you decided not to.
And if everyone will mute yourself, please.
Hi, Ruth.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you all for showing your face so that our speakers can see you and have the opportunity to really be able to know who they're talking to. We're deeply grateful for that. If at any point you need to go dark, that is okay after you begin, but as I said, it's always more comfortable for speakers on Zoom to be able to see who it is they're speaking to when they're sharing their stories, particularly such personal stories as the ones that we're going to share tonight. Cindy, over to you.
Thank you, Rabbi Robinson. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for this evening's program, Our Role in Racial Justice When Global Becomes Local. I'm pleased to introduce you to our guests, Shoshana Nambi, Sarah Nabagala, and Rachman Naguere. They are Abiyadaya, Jews of Uganda, and are all from the main village of Nabugoya. They're graduates of a university program I've been involved with since the early 2000s with Rabbi Jeff Summit, and all three of them are family to me and to whom I am Mama Cindy. Some of you may recall my presentation on a Shabbat morning in 2011 when I spoke of them upon my return from spending time with the Abiyadaya community. Sarah, Shoshana, and Rachman currently reside outside of Uganda, where they are studying for advanced degrees and are working, and each of them plans on returning to the Abiyadaya community to be leaders, providing education and resources through their experiences with those who will benefit in their villages. Foreign to even the idea of racism, not to mention the actual practice or individual experience of racism, each of our guests will share their unfortunate newfound personal encounters with racism and racial bias, both overt and veiled. There will be a special treat at the end of tonight's program, so I hope everyone will stay until the conclusion. Please join me with a warm Baruch Haba to my kids, as I lovingly refer to them. Shoshana Nambi, who joins us from New York City. Sarah Nabagala, who joins us from Yerushalayim. And Rachman Naguere, who joins us from Seattle. Welcome, my friends.
Thank you, Cindy, and welcome to each of you. We are so blessed, and this is one of the silver linings of this dark period. that we can be able to connect with you from all across the country. And we are so grateful to you for sharing your time and your stories with us tonight. So I want to start off by asking each of you, Shoshana and Sarah and Rachman, to share your personal story. And where do you come from? What brings you to the United States? Who are you? What guides you? What is at your core? So Sarah, I believe you were going to start us off, and then we'll do Shoshana and Rachman.
So I am currently in Israel, but I have been to the United States several times. As Rabbi Michelle and Cindy have mentioned, I am from the Abayudaya community. So I grew up in the community, studied in the community for high school and university. And at the end of my university studies, I got an opportunity to travel and see different places in the world. I visited the United States, I visited Europe in Berlin, and finally I got an opportunity to live in Israel for a couple of years, doing different things as a Masa participant, and also in the US working as a camp professional. Speaking of racial bias, I have had quite a few. I don't know where to begin because I have had several small and big issues with people. Some in the US that I didn't even know that they were racial bias until somebody pointed them out to me. Of course, they made me feel bad, but because I grew up in an environment that didn't really, where I wasn't treated so, coming to the US and somebody treating me differently because of my skin color, because of where I come from, like it's something that I didn't think about. Somebody had to point out, oh, you know what, you were discriminated because of this, or you were treated so because of your skin color. One of the first things that I dealt with in the US, the people who invited me at camp, which was also a camp that Shoshana worked at, were amazing, and they did a great job integrating me and the other people who were at camp in the camp community, and the kids were amazing. I didn't feel like any biasness from the kids, which makes me like believe that racism is not a born issue. It's something that people learn. So one of the things that I dealt with was one of the parents came to drop off their daughter, and we were two counselors in the bank, and she treated me differently. Like one of the things she told me, she was extremely rude to me, and she told me, like, I asked her, how can I help you, like, easing things? And she's like, well, don't just stand there, go and bring my things from the trunk. She was extremely mean. And she called the other counselor aside and told her, like, does she know what she's doing? Like, what is she doing here? Like, and I found out later, like, for me, at that point, I thought that she was just being rude. Like, people would be rude. But later on, I found out that she was being rude to me specifically because of my skin color and because of where I was coming from. She just didn't believe that I could do a good job despite the same training I had with this other counselor. So that was one of the things. And one time, Shoshana and I, when we were in New York, we had like one other incident. We asked this lady for directions to go to a synagogue. And even before she listened out to us, she told us she had no money to give us. And we were just asking for directions. We were shocked because we were not asking for money. We were asking her for directions, but just because of the way we looked, she assumed that we were begging her. Those are the two things that I remember mainly in the US. There were other issues too, but those are the few things. The worst that I have had is in Israel. I love Israel, like any other Jewish young person. I've had an opportunity which I had to fight for to come and study here and live here. It didn't come easy. Like I had to fight for a visa to be able to come on a master program. Fortunately, there were a couple of people who lobbied for me and other young people to come and study here. And I fell in love with Israel. Like I loved being here and the culture and the people. Like it didn't feel so different from my own upbringing. So I really like fit in and I really liked it here. So I decided to stay after my master program and pursue a couple of different things. But some of the things over the years have made me, especially recently, like want to go back home and like not even want to stay here. And they have made me bitter, unfortunately. That sometimes when I meet people, I question if they are treating me a certain way because I've become paranoid. That's the word to use, because of the different treatments that I have had. One time I was going back home, one of my friends, a rabbi, was hosting me in her house. And I went back home and this man asked me when I had the keys and I was opening the gate, he asked me, "Do you live here?" I said, "Yes, I do. I have the keys. I am opening the gate." And he said, "No, like you can't be living here." He got really mad. He thought I was breaking into the property and he got extremely mad at me and he was coming towards me. I told him, "Please stay away from me. Don't come near me." Fortunately, the rabbi's husband had just pulled over and he was coming into the house. So he spoke to him in Hebrew. I don't know what happened. I think he told him that I live there. So he didn't like continue to scream. But if he hadn't showed up, I wondered what would have happened. Would this man have attacked me because he thought I was a thief breaking into the house? I have gotten stopped over by police to ask for my ID here. And I asked the police officer, "Why are you stopping me? Is this something you're doing to everybody?" He said, "No, just because I felt like it." Most recently, I was looking for an apartment and I was discriminated. And it didn't strike me as discrimination immediately. It was a few minutes after I walked away that it struck me that I was discriminated, and I began to cry because it made me feel so bad. So this woman, I had been communicating with her on email because I got her email from school for an apartment. We agreed on the price, we set everything, and she said she would come and pick me up at school at Padesh Institute where I was studying. So she did come to pick me up and she came earlier. She called me when I was in class. I told her I'm in class, but I'll finish a few minutes and then I'll come out. So when I came out, she seemed surprised. I could see the surprise on her face, but I didn't know what it was about. She began to ask me, "Oh, so you're Jewish?" I said, "Yes, I am Jewish." And I told her I'm from Uganda. I am Jewish and I am from Uganda. And she began to tell me some stories. "I have a friend who is coming to live in the apartment. It's not really available." I told her, "Oh, don't worry about it. I can stay at a friend's and then come into the apartment later." She's like, "No, now, the money we talked about, it's not enough." She, like, whichever thing she put in place, I would suggest a solution, and she didn't want it. So she drove away. She got into her car and drove away without me. And she had come to pick me up to show me the house. And I knew it was about the fact that she thought I was a white Jewish person, only to meet a white black person, a black person who is Jewish, and she doesn't really believe that I am Jewish. So she left, and I really felt bad. I had to suffer with this emotional thing. I called my friends and I was crying because this was something. I'd never been segregated for housing. I had the money to pay for the house. It's not like I was begging her. Like, I just felt really bad. And on the very recent occasion, I went to renew my visa at the Misrad Hapanim. I gave the woman all the documents that I have used before. I have gotten this same visa about 7 times using the same documents. This woman did not believe that I was Jewish. She looked at my papers. She didn't ask me questions. She began to scream at me, to yell at me. And she asked for a number from somebody from my school. She talked to that person. I gave her the number. She talked to this person in Hebrew for a really long time. And when she got off the phone, I asked her, can you please tell me what you have discussed? Actually, when she got off the phone, she shoved the papers at me. And she just told me, you can leave. I told her, when I come back, what should I bring? Like, I can't just leave without knowing what I should do differently. And she just told me, leave, like, go now, like, you should leave. I'm done with you. I told her, like, I can't leave without knowing what I should bring next time, or if I should come back. You have to give me the way forward. She said, leave, or else I'll call the security. She got up and she had the phone on her hand, and she was like screaming at the top of her lungs. And this is after like some conversation of her like not believing the papers I had given her. She was telling me how she was in shock that the school could just believe that I was Jewish. Like, how can they just believe that how could I be Jewish? And I think like the thing that was missing was, how can you be Jewish when you're Black, when you're African? Like, she didn't tell me that, but she just wondered, like, how can I be Jewish? So the treatment I got from her was not good. Earlier on, I found somebody with her. She was smiling and laughing with this student who had also come to ask for a visa, a white student. And for me, I got a different treatment from her. She was really bitter. She was yelling at me, shoving papers at me, threatening to call security. And I wasn't threatening at all. I was this person who was really humble, like most Ugandans are. And didn't understand.
Yeah.
So that's my experience.
So let's see if I don't need help. I might need help.
So that sounds like an absolutely awful experience, and is very heartbreaking to hear happening in Israel in particular, because that's the place of all places that a Jew should be a Jew should be a Jew, and we should be embracing everyone together. So I'm going to skip a couple of questions and say, is there anything that we could do, or that if you had friends or people who were in school with you who could have done, should have done, what would have been helpful to you?
Some of the things would not be the best solution, honest. Like, they would be the best solution, but they would not be what I want. I like, one of the things that I know that would work is if somebody who identifies as white and Jewish, or passes as white and Jewish, came with me to school, to the Misrad Hapanim, to the office, to the Interior Ministry, and explain to them, because the people there seem to listen to somebody who is white or white passing more than they listen to me. And that's what happened in the end. I took somebody from school and they seemed to treat her like really nicely. I was in shock, the way that I witnessed, the way they treated her and the way they treated me before. So that is not what I would want, because in a normal world, I would want to be treated nicely like everybody else.
Right.
It's unfortunate that this is not what is gonna happen. Like they're not gonna treat me like that. So for a solution, I think if I had like people come with me and like recognize, and if I do tell somebody that I am treated differently in such and such an office, it's good that they believe me, that I am not being sensitive or overreacting, that it's true that because I did mention to people at school that I am an African Jewish student, so I'm gonna get a different treatment. And I don't think they believed me. So that was the
So
result.
part of being an ally is being able to accept your experience and affirm it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just heartbroken to hear that experience, and our prayer is that we will reach a time very soon when you will not need your allies to be able to be there with you, but you will always have them. So thank you for sharing your story, Sarah. It is deeply, deeply moving. I'm going to ask Shoshana now to come and to share her story. Shoshana.
Thank you. I think my eyes have been tearing up a bit. I usually do that. So I grew up, I am also from Abaidaya, and I grew up like 3 minutes away from the synagogue, and I lived all my life at the synagogue, going to, Hebrew school and being in the choir and dramas and making Purim plays and all these things. And we all grew up together, all of us on this call, we grew up together. And I've had a dream of, working and being in the Jewish community. And I think that's where I got my inspiration for to become a rabbi. And I started earlier on. We used to like take out kids and teach them and sing song, and a lot of songs that we learned from volunteers who came into the community from America, from Israel, that we also taught. And I have two brothers, Avram and David, and I grew up with my grandparents. My grandfather is now almost 100 years old, and my grandmother passed away 5 years ago. And we grew up on a farmland, growing crops, maize and beans and everything that we ate. And my grandfather grew coffee. We had coffee also growing up. So that was something that we sold and exchanged for money to buy what we needed. And it was a really simple, nice life. And we went to synagogue every Shabbat. And, I had the same clothes as my grandmother, the same matching clothes. So we just really loved to go and to pray and to be at the synagogue. And as I grew up, I also went to the community high school. So our community, the Jewish community, has right now 3 Jewish schools. We have 2 primary schools, and we have a high school. So I went to the high school. And after that, I went to the capital city in Kampala and I did a bachelor's degree in business administration. And I majored in banking and finance. And this is all thanks, Cindy said this in the beginning, thanks to the scholarship that Cindy and Rabbi Jeffrey Summit helped to fundraise for us to be able to go to school. As you see, because of the subsistence farming, and a lot of people people don't have the money to send their kids to school. They would have to sell all their lands and goats to do that. And it's been such a great contribution. And that's also why I'm here. So I also worked in the summer camps. I've been on I went on a speaking tour with Kulano, which is another organization that works with our community and a lot of other emerging Jewish communities. And I've worked at a summer camp in outside of Atlanta, in Cleveland, Georgia, and for three years. And when I was there, I met different rabbis because I had this dream that I wanted to be a rabbi, but I really did not know where to begin from, because I didn't know what it takes, what application to do, how much. That was really out of something that I was thinking of. And so they encouraged me, and they wrote to Hebrew Union College and wrote to JTS and introduced me. So I went to visit And from there, I applied and continued and got into Hebrew Union College. And I am now, I'm going into my third year of rabbinic school. And hopefully after 3 years, I will be ordained and probably the first woman rabbi in Uganda. Yes, the first woman rabbi in Uganda. Thank you, Rabbi Michelle. So my experience is a little bit similar to Sarah's. I do have, like, we don't have that experience of racism in Uganda, but we know about it. And like being a student in Uganda, we read about it, but we just don't know how it feels, or how you feel so bad about somebody doing something else. You're not the one who did it, somebody else did it, but it makes you feel so bad. It makes you like wonder about what about you made that person do such a thing? Did you do something wrong? And in Uganda, more, I think maybe like being Jewish in Uganda is also such as like, it's not so many people know about Jews in Uganda in the first place. When I went to university, like my first friends that I met, my friend asked me if I am Jewish, what religion are you? And I said, I am Jewish. But they said, no, I mean like Christian or Muslim, what are you? And like you can see, it's just out of people not knowing. Right now, you met last time the rabbi, and he's the member of parliament, and people or now know about Jews because they wonder about this man who sits in parliament with a kippah, and he has spoken out a lot on national television. And so when I when I was in Israel, one of my friends who actually went on the Masa program, he's called Yosef, he was applying to make Aliyah. He was like the first person who wanted to make Aliyah. And the Israeli, despite the fact that the Jewish agents came out and recognized the community as Jewish, and the community has been there for 100 years, the rabbinate doesn't. And so we went to court because the conservative rabbis in Israel, the Masorti rabbis, and the movement is working so hard to make the community recognized. So we went, and there was this guy, I think he's a minister, I think of something, I forget the name, but he said, he accused the other people who were defending us. He said, do you want to bring the rest of half of Africa here? And we were just the two of us, me and Joseph, seated in that court, and he had no regard for us who were there, who were Jewish, and to think that we were judged on other basis, not not people using the Jewish law to determine who is Jewish or who is not, was very, very disturbing to me. And at that point, I saw that maybe at some point the community will be recognized, but it's going to take longer because they're not really interested in the community. Because when you hear of a community that has been Jewish for 100 years, you get some excitement and you wonder about them. Maybe they should send somebody to Uganda to go visit and check out the community, or maybe recommend something, but it's not something that they want. They're trying to do everything possible for like the Ugandan Jews not to be able to be in Israel or to be recognized. But living in Israel on a day-to-day was really nice. And the streets, I lived with an Israeli family that was nice. You could hear, like so many things going on with African refugees and stuff, things that, draw you back. And a lot of times when I went into shops, people would ask, where are you from? I would say Uganda, and they'll be very happy. And because they are like, are you touring? We've never seen Ugandans, because all they know is like the refugees, the South Sudanese refugees who are there. And and then I came to the US. Because in the US, I am invited, I am a student, a graduate student. I come into a different community. I also probably won't experience a lot of what other Black people experience in America, because I live within the Jewish community, and I'm with my people, and everybody knows me, and people welcome you. And so there's this being Black in America, but also I live in another community, and I'm living with my friends on the Upper West Side in Manhattan, in a very nice area, who invited me and welcomed me in their home. But recently, during the George Floyd incidents, the school, I have a daughter who is 11, my daughter's school called me because they wanted to talk to the kids about George Floyd and about racial injustice and all these things. And they asked me if Emuna, my daughter, knew about this and had an experience, and I had no idea. I did not even know how to start telling my 11-year-old daughter that people who look like you in this country are treated different. And I could understand how parents in the US or parents here struggle with that. How do you tell your kid, your child, that this is what is happening, or this is how people who look like us, we might be from a different place, but we look the same as the people. It's the skin color. So that was something that was, and I woke up. I just like really woke up. I know I'm from Uganda. I've never experienced that, but if it happened, it could happen to me because I have the skin color of the injustice. So of the people who are treated this way. So
what did you wind up saying to your daughter?
So the school was very organized. They sent me materials because they have like an expert, somebody who to talk to the kids. So they sent me materials, and I had to tell her the truth, and we had to read certain materials and watch certain videos and some books and stuff like that. But it was very, very hard for me to do. Because that's not something that I would tell her in Uganda. We have other issues and we have other problems, but there will be no dream of somebody knowing that they will be discriminated because of how they look, or that the person who was killed it's because of how this person looked. So that's one of them. And also I've been in several Jewish communities, where people welcome me so much, but also ask me if I am converting. Even when I tell them that I'm studying to be a rabbinic student, somebody once asked me, are you a full Jew? And, these are things that, I know they won't ask somebody else. They are only asking me. And they're things that, they won't hurt me. Like, I think my friend once said that, like, racism is something that if it doesn't hurt, like if it's something that you can live with or something. I know we shouldn't even say that, but those statements won't even hurt me or something. But still, deep down, I'm like, I just want to be in a Jewish community where I am welcomed and I'm seen as everybody else, rather than, people asking me if I'm converting or this and this. And sometimes people are just curious and they just want to know your story. And I want to tell people my story because I'm so proud. I'm so happy that I'm here. I'm so proud of my community. So it becomes a little bit complicated. Yeah, so I think that's basically my story. And I don't know if you were going to ask me this, but since already I've taken up my time, but on the issue of what should we do, or what should I tell the community, this community of people who are here listening. And I think that I've seen this around, and this is a very great step of listening. Like Sarah said, we want people to listen to us and be with us and stand with us with these stories. But I also think that there should be actions that should come after that, behind the listening and all these stories, because there are many, and they're going to still be coming. And if you ask any other Black person in America or any other Jewish Black person, they will have a story. And I think that we should just put actions behind what things that we believe in. And if we believe that racial injustice that's not something that we stand behind, and maybe like support Black businesses, whatever you believe in, like we need to put our actions behind those, our words and behind all these stories.
Shoshana, thank you so very, very much. Rachman, we are transitioning over to you. The same question. Tell us your story from Uganda now to Seattle, correct?
Yep.
And that's a very far distance. And I know you've traveled a very far and very difficult and different experience. So please share your story with us. We are listening.
Yeah, shalom everybody. My name is Rachman Naguere. I come from Mbale. It's Eastern Uganda. That's the area where the community is found. And I was born like 2-3 miles away from the community. but I was born Muslim to a staunch Muslim family, and it's a very big clan. It's actually, we are related to the Mufti of the country, and but I discovered the Jewish community later as a teenager through school. It started as a walk. I was like walking in the afternoon, and then I happened to walk through this beautiful hill that people had always like said it was dangerous during daytime because there was ghosts or something like that. So one day I happened to walk through there, and I found a nice, beautiful school in a nice scenery, and the school happened to be Semeka Kungulu, which is owned by the Jewish community, the Abaidaya community, and I went in to inquire about the school, like the tuition and everything, and they were welcoming. But they told me something that was surprising. The tuition at that time was about $20, and that's like how much I was paying for the whole term or semester in my school in the city. So I told my auntie who was helping me then to 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 pay for this school because she could pay $20 for the whole year, and after that you could get like some gifts if you pay the whole tuition, like you got books and pencils and stuff like that, or some supplies. So I joined the school, and then I saw people with big keyboard, people with small keyboard, and I was asking myself questions. And later I landed, I saw a class going on, and they were singing very beautiful songs. Growing up, I loved music, and at that time when I was like young, like 10 years, 8 years, we listened to a lot of Indian music, lots of Middle Eastern music, and I had something that sounded like that, and it was right there. And there was the teacher. Her name is Haya. We call her Madame Haya. She was living there and volunteering in the community, teaching Hebrew, and she was teaching the song Eliyahu Hanavi. So I joined the class, and it was fun. I enjoyed the Hebrew class, and she she welcomed me to another class. But in that class, I met a friend who's still my friend right now, and he also graduated as an engineer, and he happens to be Shoshana's brother, and that's Abraham. And he told me that if I like that one song, I might like more songs in the community, and he welcomed me to the service. So I went to the synagogue, and I liked it, and I wanted to stay. But I had a lot of challenges talking about prejudice and stuff. Um, Coming from a Jewish, Muslim community where many people knew my dad. At that time, he lived in Kenya and he wasn't in the country. And started like reporting to my uncles and to my elder brothers and people in the community in my family that I was going to the Jewish community, and in Islam, especially in Africa, they consider other religions as kafir, which means like infidel, like pagan religions. So I got in trouble, and I was punished a little bit for that. And they, one of my uncles said, "Do you want to join our enemies?" That's what he said, and I said yes. And he said, "So even if you die, we shouldn't pick up your body and something like that." I said, "I don't care," but they overwhelmed me because I was the only person at that time, and I was young, so I had to respect them, and they made me recite what I call the Shema of the Muslims to return to Islam. But after that, I went back to the Jewish community, and then they had me later. They saw me on TV. They saw me like, you know, the TV stations come to the community to record services sometimes. So, and growing up, joining the Jewish community, I started very fast, and I did a lot of self-study. I taught myself a lot of Hebrew, and when the rabbi came back, I joined his yeshiva, and at that same time, I was at university doing my degree of public administration. So I did both at the same time, and I became, I picked up a lot of leadership in the community. And so, yeah, it went around in my family, and they just got used to it. And until later, they said there was someone whom I was surprised to. They told me that story about my last name. It's not my dad's name. There was someone who was from my family that was part of the Jewish community that was called Naguere, and he was my dad's friend, and my dad chose to name me after him, and that kind of surprised me. But
Some
yeah,
beautiful
but
destiny
now,
there.
yeah, now we are okay, and I've been since I joined the Jewish community. I feel like I got more voice. I got a lot to learn and a lot to teach, and I've taught like a lot of people better than I would have done if I was a Muslim. And so my family kind of appreciates me.
And what about, here you are, you've come all the way from Uganda to Seattle. And what has been your experience during this time since George Floyd of your role both as a Jew and as a man of color in Seattle?
Yeah, I started in New York. I met a person from Seattle in Uganda, and we got married. So I moved to New York because she was going to finish school there in New York at SUNY Downstate. And then we had a baby, but we moved to Seattle when we got divorced because she was moving in back with her parents. So that's how I ended up in Seattle. And since I've been my racist experience in New York, actually in the Jewish community, was in community. I think it's Beit Shalom. It's a conservative community in Brooklyn. And there was an artist that I like so much. I think Shoshana, and Sarah, you might know Idan Rechel.
Love him.
Yeah, he made a good song with the Ethiopian group. And it's a very nice song. So he was performing there, but I was seated among people like that weren't comfortable because I was like the only black person in that synagogue, in that concert. Yeah, people kind of felt uncomfortable with me. But here in Seattle, it has also been very hard. But I'm kind of used to hard things in life. I just move past them. Like one day, I was coming from the store, an expensive store, PCC, and I was carrying my 2 bags of groceries, and I was crossing the street, and this lady was like on her phone, and when she looked up and saw me, she ran off. And then one day also, I was coming from the house in the morning, and I was gonna take the bus to work, and there was a lady that was coming towards me with a dog. And when she saw me, she had to drag the dog backwards and hid behind some flowers in someone's yard, and like just like that. And of recent, during the George Floyd thing, I was in Target trying to buy some things for the baby, and some lady saw me. I called her, like our eyes met when she was like trying to grip her purse like that, and I was like, so yeah. But also in the Jewish community here, you just feel it, like people are not comfortable around you. I happened to go to one of the synagogues here that I've spoken there before in 2015, but when I went for Yom Kippur last year, I felt like I was just making people uncomfortable.
So you have this incredibly courageous journey from your beginning, from your upbringing, to choose to convert to Judaism and make that your tradition. What in Judaism today sustains and supports you to give you resilience to face that kind of treatment?
I kind of feel like I'm successful. I've been like through a lot of things and overcome them, and there's a lot of like prayers in the in the in the books that speak a lot to me. Like there's lines that I cannot go without. Like I should say my faith and the power in the words that I read or in the text that I read in the Torah and in the Dur. Like when I was feeling like during those hard times, I would just sing the 13 attributes of God, and that like alone just keeps me going. And just the music and just being part of a synagogue that is singing all those beautiful songs, and or when I have an opportunity to also lead, and there's a way I feel that makes me keep going, and I see that a lot of good things come my way, and so it's like,
So you tap into that faith through song. I want to invite you, Rachman, would you share one of those songs with us now?
yeah. So we have is that one of the songs that we selected to sing, or that's just any other song?
Either way, whatever is in your heart at this moment.
I think we all know this one. It goes, it's not a song, it's a prayer. It goes, Adonai, Adonai, Erahum Bechanu, Erech Apayim, Verapesed Ve'emin, Noser Esed Lalafim, Noser Avon Bafesha, Ve'ata Avinae, something like that.
That is an absolutely gorgeous 13 attributes there. I wish you could come here to do that for us on the Bima at the High Holidays. It was so absolutely beautiful. Also, you spoke about
a song for us in Hebrew and Luganda.
What's that?
Will you sing a song for us that's both in Hebrew and Luganda?
That's the Shema, I think.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, you spoke to me earlier about this tradition that you have around the Shema. Can you share that with us and share that sort of multilingual piece and how it speaks to you?
So the Shema, like in terms of like, we call it monotheism, and like in Islam, you have to accept that Allah is God, and the Prophet is Muhammad. In Christianity, you have to accept Jesus to be God is person. But in Judaism, you just say Adonai Echad and Ushmo Echad, like there's just one power, one God, and that's like makes it very easy, even when the communities are not accepting. Even outside the gates of Jerusalem, I feel like I don't need to have to belong to be happy, or to believe in God, or to serve God.
So will you share the Shema with us now?
Okay. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad, Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael, Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael, Uriragwe Ayisraeli, Adonai Ruale Wafe Ayomu Yeka, Ono Yagalanga Adonai Ruale Wo, Namti Maguguna, Nememe Yoyuna, Namani Guguna, ah 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 ah. Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael. Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael. Be'avta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levavecha, ubechol nafshecha, ubechol meodecha. Ah, 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 ah. Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael. Shema, 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 Shema Yisrael. That's it.
Wow. I hear such joy in your voice when you sing. And so I want to ask you, facing American racism here, what is it that you'll pass on to your daughter from our Jewish tradition that can help her to uncover and discover and maintain that joy?
First of all, I think, thank you. And first of all, I think she's gonna love to sing. And her mom thinks she's gonna be a singer because she has like nice voice and she can sing. You know, she makes up songs too. And I think the power of music will like help and guide her. And I'll just like tell her my story of being able to live, to create your own Israel, wherever you are. And yeah, to just know that whatever you are as a person, you are your own temple. So, and when you're a good person, I think you attract other good forces of goodness and of people that are like likely to be the same as you or believe the same as you, or some kind of support system. But I also teach my daughter to do what I do. Like my name is Rachman. It means compassionate. I chose the name because I'm also very compassionate. So I would teach my daughter to just be caring to nature and to fellow human beings, no matter what.
Rachman, God bless, and may you encounter the compassion that you put out into the world. May you be blessed, and may she be blessed to grow up in a world in which you are able to sing your song with pride and with joy and with blessing together among people who know you for who you are. I know you have to leave, and so I want to just say thank you from all of us with deep and tremendous thanks for the gift of your beautiful song. As I'll turn to Shoshana now and invite you, Shoshana, to continue that tradition of song and of sharing song. Shoshana, you're a rabbinical student, and so I'm going to put you on the spot. When you look at a broken world, you look at a world that is very challenged by racial injustice. What is the Torah that lifts you up? What's the Torah you'd like to give to us to lift up?
Thank you. I actually have been spending a lot of time preparing for high holidays because I have a student puppet leading high holidays for a congregation in Long Island. It's a small congregation. It's called North Fork Reform Synagogue. And today, I was going through like Unetona Tokef, and I was just reading through all these disasters and calamities and things, and I was wondering about these sound like natural calamities and things, and I was wondering about things that calamities and things that are caused by people that we know can be reduced, like the risk of people dying from starvation or people dying from other people putting necks on their shoes on their necks can be reduced. That shouldn't be something that we should write on that postcard of calamities. And I was just I think that something that maybe something that keeps me going is having hope, because we know that a lot of, like, all the prayers, the Misha Barracks, everything, we know that all our people, our grandparents, our ancestors have been through this. They just look different and new, present different situations, but these are things that I know that we can also overcome, and we can work harder every year. We check ourselves and we look into our hearts and see what missed opportunities we've had, and we can work on that every year. And I really have hope, because especially being here today, I know where I come from, and I know that a lot of things have changed, including in my own community, more like, women's lives, women's rights, and all these things have been changing, and I have hope that we'll do more. So I think that gives me hope. I really have hope in us, in people, in young people especially, and in older people guiding us. So I think hope keeps me going. And I wanted to mention before Rachman leaves that every Sunday we have a Torah study. We have a Torah study group between us with Rachman and Sarah, and there are 2 more people in Israel, like the Ugandans who are living outside of Uganda. We tried to involve Ugandans in Uganda, but it was very hard with the communication and the internet and everything. But I think that group really makes us happy. We share experiences and things that we've been through, but also study Torah to really strengthen us being outside of Uganda, because it really feels different being with your community and singing songs, and being outside, also being with the same community, but being far from home is also something that we try to keep ourselves together, and having friends. And Cindy, thank you for being there for us always. And thank you, Michelle, for inviting us. So to continue the tradition, I don't think, I wouldn't sing it as beautiful as Rachman, but I wanted to sing the Hinematov. The Hinematov, which is like, so the community has a lot of beautiful melodies that the community composed. They composed and they translated some of the songs into Luganda, and some of them even for Hebrew songs. We've composed melodies to Lecha Dodi, to Adonolam, to a lot of this. So when you come, the beauty is we do all the prayers in Hebrew. The beauty is you'll understand the Hebrew, but the tunes might be, a lot of tunes will be different. And so the Hinematov, because we are all here, and it feels really nice, and I'm happy that we are all here as one people. So I'll do Hinematov both in English and in Luganda. Hinematov umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Hinematov umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Dava bekulyo kulunji bekusanyusa awoluganda okutula. Dava bekulyo kulunji bekusanyusa awoluganda okutula. Hinematovu umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Hinematovu umanai לשבת אחים גם יחד. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Hine ma tov umanaim, how good it is to sit together as brothers, as sisters, and you have each, in telling your story and sharing your story, helped to lift us closer as one family. So I want to ask each of you, first Sarah, and then Rachman. I see you still have not left, so I'm going to get one last word out of you. And Shoshana, you'll take us home. One last word, a charge for each of us, something you hope we will take from this conversation to help change the world so that we see each other as brothers and sisters together. Sarah, you first.
I think it's things that we've mentioned, like to be able to listen to each other. And as one of my favorite writers once said, Chimamanda Adichie, like people love to be heard, or like to feel like people are listening to them. So I'm going to emphasize that if you make sure that other people are heard in what they're saying matters, that's like a way to start. So listening to, especially like if it comes to issues of racial justice, like making sure that you're listening and you're paying attention, and from that listening, you're like doing actions that are leading to a better world is the start. So I think like what we're doing here today is one way that we're starting to make a change. So thank you for having us speak.
Amen. And thank you, Sarah, for sharing your story and helping us to listen. Rachman, one charge.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to say also is that we, in our village, we say Mlembe. And the founder of the Jewish community translated that from the Shalom. And it went around, he taught the people, because they followed him, everyone followed him.
Rachman, if you can believe it, we sing Marimba here with our Hebrew school students at Temple Emmanuel for their Thursday evening Shabbat that they do here together as a community. So Marimba has traveled across the world into our hearts. So will you bless us with Marimba?
I was gonna just say it like that and then say what I wanted to say, which I picked, which is none is more human than others are. That's what I wanted to say. But I have my own Mulembe that I wrote also, but I call it Mulembe. That's because that's how we say hello. And I can sing that one. You wanna listen to that?
Always.
Mulembe oliyote ateningoya emulirwana. How are you, my neighbor? Musale wange mulirwana. Mulembe oliyote ateningoya emulirwana. How are you, my neighbor? Musale wange mulirwana. Then I said, in this place we call home, we all are in danger, no. Let us not fight, let us jenga dunia. You've got lots of money and I got no money, yo. Let us not fight, let us jenga dunia. We've got clean it, tidy it, keep it, and not mess it up alone. Let us fight, let us not fight, let us jenga dunia. It means let us not fight, let us tikkun olam. Jenga dunia is in Swahili.
Amen. So may it be. Let us not fight. Let us be neighbors. Let us be blessed together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shalom and Mirembe. Shoshana, you have the last word, the final charge. What should we leave here this evening, taking in our heart?
I do. Thank you. Like I said, I think we should put our actions behind what we believe in. And I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm not going to be in, I don't think I'll be in Uganda. Uganda next year, we are also voting, and we have so many issues, and we have, you know, in terms of politics and presidents and stuff, but I'll put that aside. And I'm asking my friends who are in Uganda to vote, and I'm going to ask you too, because I'm sure a lot of people in this in the community vote, but maybe, like, you know, find a way of helping other people vote, because voting for people who are going to work towards things that we believe in is very important right now. And also in terms of Israel, I believe in supporting causes in Israel, or like organizing like the Masorti movement and Women is War and thing, and supporting those issues in Israel that help people like us, that help, instead of, you know, going to speak for us when somebody says no. Like, we should support like those organizations that are also fighting or causes like that. And I think that we are on a really good step. And I would say that I am not immune from any of these things, even though I come from Uganda and I am Black. I'm also, I don't know, I've never stopped to think, do I buy groceries from a Black-owned business, or do I do this? I've never stopped to do that. And there are things that we have done, and we unknowingly or unwilling or whatever, that have really enhanced racial justice or racial divide or income inequalities or a lot of these things. So, and I think that we can work on that.
Amen.
Thank
Amen,
you.
Sela. Want to thank each of you for being here with us tonight, for leading this important conversation, and just send you off with a blessing of peace, of love, and that you will continue to inspire those who have the blessing to be in your vicinity, that you'll continue to lift up our world past the brokenness that we have at this moment into a place of greater healing, of greater hope, and of greater justice. Thank you all very much, and thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Cindy, again for arranging this conversation. We are deeply blessed to have had the opportunity. So thank you, Cindy. You get the last word to say goodbye to everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi Robinson. I want to say that I am, first of all, so grateful and appreciative for Sarah, Rachman, and Shoshana this evening. I'm extremely proud of them. I will get choked up, I'm sure, as I am. These three young people are children of subsistence farmers who made just dollars and pennies a day, and without the generous donations from friends, they would not be university graduates, and they would not be on to graduate school without the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful involvement of Jewish friends and non-Jewish friends. So I am proud of them beyond words, and proud to call them my family. So thank you for joining us, you guys. And to you, Rabbi Robinson, and to Temple Emmanuel, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for always making me feel home. Thank you for allowing me to share my friends with our community, who I love so very, very much. And thank you everyone for showing warmth and respect this evening. And I'm truly appreciative, and I know that we will be continuing the dialogue, not only about racial justice, but also learning more about our brothers and sisters in Uganda. So thank you to everyone for logging on this evening.
Amen. And so we say, Lech Shalom, go in peace and go towards justice. Laila Tov, everyone.
Laila Tov. Bye, everybody.
Bye.